Hello, my dears. How are you? It is Friday, TGIF Day. I'm certain that you are looking forward to a break from your weekly routine. And I'm just wanting to say hello. We have made it through another week. Thank God. Thank God. We've made it through the uncertainty of all that is going on. We've been washing our hands and spraying and wiping and doing all these things, but we're here, and that's the good news. So hopefully you're thriving, you're flourishing, you're doing well in whatever it is you're doing, because that's the goal. So sending you greetings of love and wanting you to be well. Last time we talked a little bit about Earth Day. It wasn't really what I had planned to talk and explore, but how could I ignore Earth Day? I was surprised that it was Earth Day. All the days seem so much alike. And I said, oh my goodness, it's Earth Day. And so when I started looking at the theme for this year's Earth Day, it was related to climate control, but last year's was related to endangered species. And I found that interesting because this year we're in the middle of a pandemic, and certainly no one had any way of knowing that something like this would happen on such a huge scale globally. And so last year's theme of endangered species seems almost to relate to us, the people. We are in danger of being the endangered species because of all the different things that are going on. And so as we looked at that, couldn't help but notice that while we are sheltered in and not going out, parked cars and all of that, that the earth received a great gift. The gift that the earth received because of the pandemic and because of our being sheltered in was less pollution and so many other things. So the earth got a great gift from our being sheltered in, which is interesting because the gift was as a result of a catastrophe. And so often we look at crises and catastrophes as no-win situations, and so we're not really expecting the silver lining in the catastrophe. But as I have talked and listened to various people, there has been a silver lining for a number of us during this pandemic. So I just wanted to explore that a little bit today with you, if you don't mind. I wanted to look at how you can have a crisis and you can have a silver lining in the crises. I mean, the one thing that for us this pandemic triggered was a desire to support each other, a desire to hold tight to each other and to check in just to make sure if I'm okay, that you're okay. And so that was one of the things that happened. But I heard from some doctors who said the opportunity that they had to be sheltered in with their family gave them quality time that they usually don't have because they're working all sorts of hours. But with the opportunity of having everyone at home, there was that treasured gift of time. And so that is interesting to look at crises as opportunities. This will be a day when our children, our grandchildren, will have a memory of what happened when the pandemic of 2020 happened. They'll be able to look and see, well, this is how my family handled the pandemic, and this is how we handled scenarios when we weren't physically together. We virtually sent hugs, we virtually FaceTime, but we made it happen. And it sends the message that no matter what happens, we can make it, we can thrive during this time. Which is interesting because it reminds me of something that Rahm Emanuel said when President Obama was in office. He said a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And that's kind of an interesting statement. I don't think it came from him. I think he probably coined it from an economist who was using it in another way. But basically what he was saying is a crisis causes or allows for opportunities, for choices to be made. And how you handle this, it depends on you. And so this crisis has given us the opportunity to draw closer. And it's helped us especially to look at those things that are true, those things that are meaningful, those things that are important, probably the virtuous things to do. And people are the most important thing. I think there was an article that was talking about during crises, you should lead with humanity, with humanness. And so often organizations are trying not to get in trouble, but they're focused more on profit than people. But there was a public relations survey that talked about giving about how people feel about companies that are more interested in profit than their people. And I think it was 71% of them said they would not use that brand again if they discovered that that brand was more interested in their profits than their people. And it was interesting because one organization, I think it was the NBA, the 76ers, they had thought they would decrease the staff's pay, and they received such backlash. They realized that they had made a big mistake, and they quickly reversed that. In other organizations, they realize that it's important for people to be able to trust the brand. And the respondents on this survey said, well, we will never go back. That's pretty strong. But if we look at crises as opportunity, then we're just wanting to just see how this crisis that we've had, what it has done for us. And I've seen people dancing, recording dancing, families dancing. I think one of my grandchildren is doing a pandemic journal. There are just so many ways to remember to keep this in our minds and to look at the positive outcomes. It doesn't mean that we're enjoying it. It doesn't mean that it's going away. It means that we are thriving and we're doing the best that we can with this pandemic. And it's interesting because there's a thought that said out of every crisis, there is a beautiful and awesome thing that happens. And well, the awesome thing that's happening with us is our stick-to-itiveness, is our attempt to continue putting one foot in front of the other, continuing to be a vital friend to each other. Support is really continuing to be necessary. We talked a little bit about re-entering the workforce. We actually don't know what that is going to look like. And so we're just having to be aware, to not let our attention slide, just to be aware of the newness, the fragileness of this, and we're going to just stay focused and stay positive. So I'm hoping that you'll have a wonderful weekend, and see you on Monday.